Hey Jim, so I've been working on the reorder level application and just kind of wanted to run by you where I'm at. I think I've largely licked it. What I have up in front of me that you're seeing is essentially just a proof of concept test form, so I haven't handled the UI yet. This is just kind of really crudely hooked up. But I'm basically clicking load and I'm loading all these products. It comes out of the database. It's probably going to take 15 seconds or so. It's a pretty, well, that was probably more like 8, but it's a pretty mean query because we're sucking from so many different tables and we're flattening the data out. Anyway, so you've got kind of your number, your description. You can sort by these things. It's all pretty straightforward. At the moment, there are a whole bunch of different fields displaying, and I will suppress most of these fields from displaying because these were just fields I'm using in the background for calculation. So things like how many sold in the last 90 days from that place, or the total, how many sold, Melbourne, and you can sort and have a look. I've also got the POs, like the total number of outstanding PO, like items on PO for that particular thing, and also per location, like per Melbourne, per Sydney, per Brisbane. And doing that by looking at the PO and looking at which warehouse the PO is destined to ship to. Now that's a bit of an assumption on my behalf, but I was considering the usefulness of just considering the POs generically, and it seemed like getting specific made a lot more sense. We've got the units in each location. We also have the units on customer backorder. Now, the units on customer backorder is completely independent of warehouse in general, although there does seem to be a specific warehouse that they're intended to ship out of. So we could get more specific with that, but my understanding is that whatever warehouse gets it first is basically going to be shipping it out to the customer. And then we have the different reorder levels. And what I did is we've essentially got 3 states that we want to represent. 0 means, we don't want to order it again. A positive number means, well, that's what the reorder level is. And then we need to denote, well, this hasn't been set, and we can't default this to 0 because that also corresponds to, we don't want to order it again. So I just arbitrarily picked -1. And so you could, just set that value, and you just basically type it in, and it's just getting saved back to a database table just, the moment you do it. And if we refresh that, it would persist. Then we have supplier ID, and in many cases there's more than one supplier that this can come from. So what I did was I just stacked them side by side with a space in between them. We can search for supplier. Let's go for that EFLA, and again the UI hasn't had much love here. Okay, so I've just discovered a little bug there. I'll just pause for a sec. I just paused to write that one down. I wasn't using a wildcard in that filter, so now let's just have a look a little bit further along. So then we have the reorder, like whether a product needs to be reordered. And this is just a calculated column based on these other calculated columns. And it's basically saying, should the product be reordered for Melbourne? Should it be reordered for Sydney? Should it be reordered for Brisbane? And there's also a global reorder. Let me just work out what that actually is. Oops, I can't see that. Okay, so this reorder global is actually what that's saying, and we can actually have a look at the logic here. I can bring that forth. This is basically being calculated by, it's saying if the total number of units on customer backorder is greater than the number of outstanding POs plus everything else that's in stock in all 3 locations, well then we definitely need to stock that. So that's kind of like another reason that we may need to restock something. Let's look at the reorder logic for the different warehouses just to make sure I've got that right. So if, let's say reorder Brisbane, and they're the same logic as all reorder Sydney, the same logic in all three places, where we're saying the reorder level, if it's greater than the number of units in Sydney plus the outstanding purchase orders, well then, we have a reorder situation that needs to be triggered there. And the last thing for us to look at is, just while I was digging into this, it seemed to make sense that we should alert the user that there may be cases where it would make more sense to transfer inventory. Now this isn't something that would be automatic. It's like that's just a hint. And you then have to go and look at, well, what's the sales volume, what's the inventory, stuff like that. This is really just going to be ticked every time it's possible to do an inventory transfer to satisfy the restock or the reorder requirements. So we can just look at the logic here and just basically saying, yeah, any time that you could move the products around without going below the reorder levels in any particular location, then you might want to consider transferring inventory. And this would be particularly useful just if you have a large volume of inventory in one location. And that's going to clearly come down to shipping costs and all that sort of stuff, and how much inventory, how much risk you've got in carrying that level of inventory. We've got the search here, so I could search for AKA. I'm not sure actually if this is sensitive yet. So I'm just basically searching these things here. I can search any part of the string there. I can also just search by the supplier ID. It's all pretty straightforward. So just wanted to really show you this so you get a sense of it and see if we're going in the right direction. Then I'm thinking we're looking for some kind of report. I'm presuming you're just wanting to export to Excel. I think we can just export like that. I'll just give that a whirl and see if that. We have Excel up, paste that in. Okay, yep, formatting's not great. Didn't get the headers. Let's see if we can get the headers. Anyway, I'll look at that because I think the headers are going to be quite important for us. All right. If you can give me a call or send me an email just letting me know where we're going with that, that would be great. And one last question that we had is if a product is on back order, we're making the assumption that it's out of stock everywhere. Anyway, speak to you later.